Hey everyone, I'm Lauren and this is my unit presentation. This unit is based off of the curriculum in Miss Casto's 4th grade class at Puglisi West Elementary. The chapter that I chose for the topic of this unit was Chapter 3, entitled Early Travel in Ohio. The social studies standard from Ohio that aligns with this unit and is used throughout the lessons is the Content Standard number 14. Which states Ohio's location and its transportation systems continue to influence the movement of people, products, and ideas in the United States. To explain how this standard connects with the 3 lessons in this unit, I created a concept map. This concept map explains that the English language arts lesson focuses on enhancing the student's ability to read for meaning and to identify causes and effects based on what they read in the text. Through their journal writing, students will explain these causes and effects and analyze what other possible effects could have come about. The math lesson focuses on strengthening students' ability to use models and to subtract money. This lesson also functions as an introduction to the multiplication and division of money. The students will demonstrate what they have learned through their results from the Money Bingo website and their completion of the word problem worksheet. And finally, the science lesson plan focuses on the student's ability to demonstrate that energy can be transferred from one object to another. The students will do so by building and testing their rollback can gizmos. As an extension activity, the students could engage in a 19th century day where they choose their method of transportation, pay for their ticket using math concepts, and demonstrate the transfer of energy used by this method by decorating their gizmo accordingly. Over all of the lessons, the supports for students with disabilities remains the same. Students with disabilities will have directions read to them, as well as receive extra time to complete the assignments. These students will also be provided with visual cues during the lessons. To tie Catholicism into all of my lessons, I chose to focus on the Catholic social teachings. There are 7 in total, but only 3 are used in this unit. Now I will walk you through all 3 of my lessons and highlight some of the things that I felt are important. First is the English language arts lesson. Upon completion of this lesson, the students will be able to describe how Ohio's location and its transportation systems have influenced the movement of people, products, and ideas. Analyze artwork in order to compare and contrast transportation systems from the 19th century, 20th century, and 21st century, and identify the cause and effect based on the information in the social studies text. One of the standards chosen for this lesson was that the students will write informative explanatory text to examine a topic and convey ideas and information clearly. This lesson connects English language arts with art. Something that I thought would be really fun for students would be to look at 2 pieces of artwork and critique them. On the right side of your screen, you can see that this picture depicts 19th century commerce in Ohio. In this lesson, the students visually view artwork that highlights the transportation systems of 19th and 20th century Ohio. Then they compare and contrast the 2 photos. The 6E learning model is highlighted in this lesson. The students engage in a guided imagery activity before reading. They explore 19th and 20th century transportation by viewing the photos, explain their findings of the similarities and differences between the photos with their peers, elaborate on these similarities and differences through their extended research on the internet, evaluate their understanding by putting their knowledge into practice through journal writing, and using technology through the websites of Weebly or Wix when the students try to persuade their audience to use one specific type of transportation mode while they are on their vacation. As mentioned earlier, the students engage in a journal writing activity in this lesson. The effectiveness of this strategy is supported by the research compiled in the 2014 11th edition of the Content Area Reading Textbook. This lesson could connect with the Catholic social teaching of the dignity of work and the rights of workers. Students could engage in a conversation about how they think labor workers were treated centuries ago. The students could bring in their previous knowledge of slavery and connect that labor work was difficult, there were bad conditions, and they were not paid well. This could be translated into a discussion about the dignity of all people. Upon completion of this lesson, the students will be able to convert coin and dollar values, use models to illustrate addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of money, explain the use of a decimal to separate dollars and cents, and express the answer in decimal notation when solving money word problems. One of the standards chosen was use the 4 operations to solve word problems involving money, including problems involving simple fractions or decimals. Prior knowledge that the students need to have include being able to recognize all the coin and dollar amounts, being able to write their correct values using decimal points. The students must be able to recognize and define all money symbols, for example, the dollar sign and the cent sign, as well as the decimal point. The students should be able to add and subtract monetary values. The students must have the understanding that to be able to add or subtract monetary values, they must first line up the decimal points. To activate this prior knowledge, the students will engage in a short mini-lesson with quick, interactive activities before this lesson is implemented. The backwards design model is demonstrated in this lesson plan. When planning, I first started with my desired results, the things that I wanted my students to know at the end of the lesson. This was highlighted earlier when I mentioned the learning targets. The second step in the backwards design model is to highlight acceptable evidence. This is found in the assessment portion of the lesson plans. To gather acceptable evidence, the teacher will have the students engage in a circle rotation activity, as well as a money bingo activity, and finally, a money word problem worksheet. An example of what the money bingo looks like is attached to the slide. The students have to count the bills and the coins on the right side and click the corresponding monetary value that the coins and the bills add up to be on the left side. The students continue to work on their money counting skills until they can yell, "Bingo!" And finally, the Catholic connection in this lesson is as follows. As the students engage in the circle rotation activity, it should be made clear that the students have a responsibility to each other. All of the students should be good, quiet listeners and be ready to help whenever needed. This relates to the Catholic social teaching regarding rights and responsibilities. Not only do students have rights and responsibilities in the classroom, but they also have rights and responsibilities outside of the classroom. Always reminding students to take their responsibilities seriously is a great way to ensure that they take their responsibilities seriously, not only in school, but at home and in their communities as well. Now for the science lesson, which is also the Gizmo lesson. Upon completion of the science lesson, the students will be able to define the word gizmo, explain that energy can be transferred from one object to another, describe the difference between kinetic energy and potential energy, as well as apply their knowledge of the transfer of energy in order to create a gizmo rollback can. One of the standards chosen for this science lesson was that energy can be transferred from one location to another or can be transferred from one form to another. The materials the class will need in order to create the gizmo include 1 plastic cylindrical container, 1 thick rubber band, 1 weight, and 2 large paper clips. All of these materials come out to about $20 if you don't already have them lying around your house. The steps to creating the gizmo are as follows. First, stand the container on its flat end. Poke 2 holes, one in the center of the lid and one in the base. There should be a hole in the top and the bottom. Then remove the lid of the container. Next, hold 1 paper clip between your fingers so they are as far apart as possible without dropping the paper clip. Link the rubber band onto the center of the paper clip so that it will not fall off. Use the clip part of the paper clip. Push the end of the rubber band, opposite of the paper clip, through the hole in the outside bottom of the container that you made in step 1. Pull the rubber band through the hole so that the paper clip stops the rubber band from being pulled the whole way through. Stretch the rubber band to twice the length of the cylinder. Fasten the weight on the rubber band where the rubber band exits the cylinder. Take the free end of the rubber band and push it through the inside of the hole you made in the lid in step 1. Once you have pushed the rubber band through the hole in the lid, place a paper clip under the rubber band on the outside of the lid. Replace the lid and give it a push. This video explains that when you push the can, it rolls back to you. This is because of the rubber band that expands between the center of the container. The rubber band is held in place by paper clips and a weight in the center that keeps the rubber band from spinning in the center, while the can makes the rubber band spin on the outside. This lesson's Catholic connection is focused on community and participation. In this lesson, the students will have to use collaboration in order to share their ideas with their peers. This connects to Catholic teaching because Catholic social teaching calls us to community and participation. When our students work together in small groups, they are fostering a strong community and are practicing participation skills. Students need to learn to listen with open hearts and minds, respond in effective ways to others, and they also need to learn to speak up when appropriate. The activities in this lesson all correspond with the students learning these key skills. As mentioned earlier, a summative activity that could wrap this unit together would be to have a 19th century day. During this day, the students will pick a mode of transportation, create a gizmo that represents this transportation, as well as buy and sell tickets to use these modes of transportation, using their new math skills to add, subtract, multiply, and divide monetary values. Here are a few of my final thoughts upon completion of this project. First, that was a lot of hard work. I am very thankful that we had the entire semester to complete the project, and that my computer issues only took up a fraction of that time. In regards to my team members, I felt that they positively impacted my experience. It was very nice to be able to have a group of educators that could share their ideas with one another in a positive way. It was different from other team teaching projects and other projects in general that I've been a part of. Mostly because it was not team teaching. It was nice to be able to receive and give support and educational ideas in a way that it did not seem like I was pushing my own ideas onto someone or that someone was pushing their ideas onto me. They were simply suggestions, and I could make the final decision of whether or not to take that person's guidance or not. I think it took the pressure off of needing to say the right thing at the right time. My time working with the engineers was also very enjoyable and useful. Collaborating with them made me realize that I will need to do a lot of collaboration with others once I become a teacher, mainly because I don't know everything, and I do not pretend to know everything. So, having the collaboration skills to be able to work with other professionals, both inside and outside the field of education, is very useful. After completing this project, I definitely feel more prepared for serving my students in the future. Through the creation of this unit, I discovered a lot of new websites with great free reading resources, math, math manipulatives, and so much more. Here are the citations that I used throughout this presentation. Thanks for watching!